This is the Anna Gale Lines podcast, where we equip you with the tools and insights to take charge of your life and thrive. And here is your host, life coach and author, Anna Gale Lines.
Welcome to the Anna Gale Lines podcast. I'm your host, Anna Gale Lines. You matter. What you think, feel, and believe matter. Your voice matters, and it's time to speak up, be uniquely ourselves, and let all that cannot handle it walk away. I grew up in a situation where I had a mother who was very manipulative and controlling. She would speak for me all the time. And if something wasn't right or up to her standards, she would say something. But she was the ultimate Karen. If something was not to her liking, she would speak with a manager and she would get it fixed. And I grew up not wanting to be that. I grew up not wanting to make waves because I was told nice girls didn't make waves. In fact, the family looked down on her because she spoke her mind. And I grew up in this environment, so I learned to not express my opinions. I didn't raise my hand in class. I didn't express my opinions when it came to what I thought, what I liked, what I felt. And I had my voice silenced. She didn't like me writing. She didn't like me doing anything creative, anything that didn't put the attention on her. So I learned to silence my voice. And I felt guilty about writing my novels. I felt guilty about writing anything or doing anything creative because I felt that I was disappointing her. And over the years, I started to just let her speak for me instead of me speaking up for myself. And in fact, when I got into situations where I needed to speak up, I needed to say something, I couldn't. I would have panic attacks and so much anxiety would come over me. Anxiety to speak on the phone and to do the things that normal adults do, like, making doctor's appointments and calling the pharmacy about your medications. I couldn't do that because I would get so overwhelmed with anxiety and depression that I would have these full-on panic attacks. So that led me not to speak up. And it led me not to speak up in situations in which I was being abused. If I got into a relationship with a guy, everything was about him. We'd go where he wanted to go, eat what he wanted to eat, even though I didn't like it. I'm a very picky eater, and I learned very quickly that almost every restaurant has a salad on the menu that I could eat. And although it looked like I was trying to keep my figure, it was that I'm a picky eater and that was the safe choice for me. But it became all about what he wanted instead of what I wanted. And that started to bring me into a lot of toxic situations, a lot of situations that I shouldn't have been in. Also, in situations at work, I would let my managers micromanage me. I would let them put me down. I would let them make me think that I was less than. I would let them walk all over me and have me doing things that I wasn't even supposed to be doing. But there comes a point in everybody's life where you have to learn to speak your truth, to speak your voice, to start speaking up for yourself because you are worth it. Your voice matters. That's not who I am anymore. I am not the person who is going to go round 3 with the toxic boyfriend. I am not that person anymore who's going to just do what you want because it's your dream, it's your goal, and it doesn't align with mine. I matter, and what I feel matters. And it took a long time for me to learn that. It took a long time for me to work on myself and realize that there was not something fundamentally wrong with me. There was just things that were trauma bonds from my past, and I had to work on them and understand that what happened to me in the past is not who I am, and it does not define me. I could rewrite my life and rewrite that chapter of my life, and I could write a new chapter. If you cannot tell, we are going to talk today about speaking up, why we don't do it, and how it is affecting our lives, and how to speak up more. For a long time, our voices as women, primarily, have been silenced. We were supposed to get married, raise kids, and keep the house and do everything our husbands wanted and our children wanted. We were supposed to be people pleasers. I was raised in the church, so I was taught that I was supposed to be the Proverbs 31 woman. Anyone who grew up in the church understands what I'm talking about. The problem with that is that when they speak from the pulpit about the Proverbs 31 woman, it is about a woman who is taking care of her husband and taking care of her children and putting her life into both of them. But that's not what that scripture says. It says that the Proverbs 31 woman was managing a staff, her servants who were taking care of the kids and were taking care of the house. She had a husband who was respectable. He was an elder, and she had children that loved her, but she also had a business because it says that she made linen garments and sold them. So she had a business. And it also says that she considered a field and bought it. Out of her earnings, she planted a vineyard. So not only was she managing a staff, not only was she running a business, but she also, out of her own earnings, did not consult her husband and bought a field. And then she planted a vineyard. So she started another business. She invested in herself and her future and her husband's future with this vineyard. Nowhere in there does it say that she asked her husband for permission to buy the field. It says that she considered a field and bought it. I feel like religion in general has silenced women. They have made us second-class citizens. We're criticized for wanting to work. We're criticized for raising a family and tending the home. We're even criticized by women, other women, because the ones who go to work are working moms, criticize the ones who are staying home. The ones who are staying home criticize the ones who are working. We all need to work together because life is too difficult on its own, no matter what you're doing, to be criticized by others or to criticize others. We don't know what other people's lives look like, so why are we judging them? But we have to be silent no more. We have to stand up and speak up. We matter. Women matter. Men matter. Human beings matter. No matter what color, what race, no matter what, we all matter. So what is your voice? Well, your voice is more than communication. It's your message. It's your opinions, it's your views, it's your art, it's your creativity. Why have we allowed ourselves to be silenced? Well, part of it comes from how we were raised. You know, the old adage that children are supposed to be seen and not heard, and that children don't have a voice. Your parents silenced you. They told you to go play in your room. They told you to go play outside. They did not want to hear what you had to say. Not all parents, but a lot of them in my generation. We were told not to make waves. We had parents who spoke for us. We had bullies in school who put us down whenever we tried to assert ourselves. We were led to believe that we were stupid or in some way that we were coming up short when we were allowing our opinions, our thoughts, and our expressions to be known. And we were led to feel that we're too much for others, so we couldn't express fully ourselves, whether we were reprimanded by authority or growing up or even in the workplace, or we were rejected by our peers. And in social media, we have been silencing people in this world. You would think because everybody is speaking, everybody is putting out their opinions and their YouTube videos and their TikToks and their Instagrams, and they're putting out words, but they're not saying anything. And in fact, when they say things that are contrary to the social narrative, they're canceled. The problem is that this goes against the freedom of speech. We all have freedom of speech, but we also have the obligation to be diplomatic, to be tactful, and not to hurt other people. If your opinions and your beliefs are hurting other people, that's where I draw the line. So what are the results of allowing our voices to be silenced? We lose out on opportunities to connect, to grow, to affect change. We become depressed. We get into anxiety. It keeps us small, and it keeps us from venturing out of our comfort zone and going after our dreams. It opens us up to abuse of our boundaries, abuse of us physically, mentally, and emotionally, and sometimes even sexually. We have to remember that we are enough. So, what are some ways that we can speak up for ourselves? One, we need to take small steps before we run. So, if you're afraid to voice your opinion to a group, you might want to share your opinions with your best friend. You might want to share your opinions and ideas with some of your coworkers that you trust and ask for feedback. You might want to do this before you introduce it to your boss or speak your opinion at a meeting. And then we need to also, when we do this, invite outside perspectives. Because if we don't, we're only limited by our thinking and our experience. So we can get credible feedback from people we trust before we venture out into bigger territory, like bringing it to our boss. And then we need to identify occasions when we feel comfortable speaking. So do we feel comfortable speaking one-on-one? Do we feel comfortable speaking as a group? Do we feel comfortable speaking to only people that we trust? Do we feel comfortable speaking to our boss? Do we feel comfortable speaking to a parent? And then we need to imagine ourselves a year from now speaking in any situation. So we need to take small steps to voice our opinions and our ideas. Even if sometimes that is just writing an anonymous note to your boss or writing a letter to your parent or, your child or whoever. Maybe you write better than you speak and you can get the feelings out better. So whatever version of communication is good for you, in order to have those critical conversations, do it. Now, write down what you're going to say in these conversations. Make sure that you have prepared what you're going to say. Have your bullet points, and make sure that you have examples, because if you don't have examples, you're just swimming upstream without a paddle. You need to be prepared, because a lot of times when we don't want to speak up, it's because we're not prepared. And having those bullet points is going to cause us to be able to sound clearer and more concise. And it also helps us to focus on what is important. And then we need to develop our skills in low risk environments. So speaking up for ourselves is not just about communication. It is also about speaking up through writing, through doing things creatively, like music and painting and podcasts. It is about speaking our truth, speaking what we know, and sharing our knowledge. We also could do this by teaching, but we need to speak up for ourselves in any way, shape, or form. So speak up for yourself by doing art, by sharing art, by selling your art. That is a version of speaking up for yourself. Speaking up for yourself could also look like journaling in your journal and getting your ideas down on paper, because too many times we don't even take the time to dream. We don't even take the time to daydream about what our life could be, or those pipe dreams that we have, or those wild out dreams, those blue sky ideas. We don't do them because we are too much in our comfort zone, and we don't want to speak out because we've been told we are stupid. We have been shut down. Our voices have been shut down, and we think that we don't matter, but we do matter. Our opinions matter. Our voice matters. What you have to say matters, and you were put on this earth to speak your truth. You were put on this earth to help others through your voice, whether that be writing, whether that be your art, whether that be communication, whatever. You were put on this earth to share your voice, your message. And in this day and age, we have a platform that we can take our message to the masses. Whatever we believe in, we can take it to the masses because we've got YouTube videos, TikTok videos. We can put it on Instagram, Facebook. We can gather a following. Other generations did not have this. I didn't have this growing up. We couldn't affect change like we can now. We can affect change through the internet. We can affect change in Israel and in Africa, and we can affect change in other countries now. We couldn't do that before. And we have to stand up and we have to speak our message and what we have to say. And we do that by starting in low risk situations. Maybe that's one video. Maybe that's speaking to a small group. Maybe that is telling your ideas and venturing out to a trusted colleague. But we need to take small steps. We need to get out of our comfort zone and take small steps. Maybe that's taking a Toastmasters class. Maybe that is actually going to learn how to paint at a class. Maybe that is risking out of our comfort zone so that we can affect change, not only in our lives, but in other people's lives. And as we practice that skill and as we start to do it in low risk environments, we will get better at it. We'll grow in that skill. And then we'll take on more challenges until you look up and you go, wait, I didn't used to be able to speak in front of in public. Just like I used to not be able to speak on the phone. And now I work in a call center. And we need to define why our voice is important. So why do you want to speak up? What is it that you want to say? Is it that you want to affect change about issues with the homeless? Is it that you want to affect change in the adoption regulations? Is it that you want to share what you know with the world? Why is your voice important? You have to determine for you why your voice is important, because the why is going to be more effective than your fear. Courage is not the absence of fear, but it's the evidence that something is more important than fear. And your why is more important than fear. And we need to take action. We have to know that there's always going to be a day one. We are going to fail. We're going to make mistakes, but we need to take action. We need to speak. We need to write. We need to paint. We have to sell our art. Whatever it is for you, you have to take action. And then we need to visualize the conversations, these critical conversations that we have with people about our boundaries. We have to visualize that conversation first. We need to visualize us selling our art. We need to visualize what we're going to say and what our platform is going to be and how we are going to conduct ourselves. And we need to focus on facts and not emotions. We need to take the emotions out of any critical conversations that we have. We need to listen, because that's the only way we're going to have a win-win situation, is if we listen to the needs of others as well as present our needs. Because then we can compromise and we can have a win-win situation. But if we are only listening to their portion and catering to them, or they're only listening to our portion and we're demanding that they cater to us, that is not a win-win situation. That is a win-lose situation, and somebody is going to get angry. Somebody is going to get resentful. And then we have to let go of the outcome, because sometimes we want to say things and we want to do things and we expect a certain outcome, but that's not always going to happen. Like, let's say that you gave your daughter up for adoption when she was a baby, and she's now an adult, and you send her a letter and you want to see her, you want to connect with her, but her answer may be no, because she is not to the place where she can accept you into her life. And you have to let go of the fact that this is going to be a happy ending. It could eventually be if you give her time, but it may not be. And we need to let go of that. We need to let go of that outcome. So what do we do if we have naysayers and we have people who are criticizing us for speaking our truth? Well, we need to stay confident. We need to believe in ourselves and believe in our actions, and we need to stay confident. And then we need to understand that they have their own opinion, and they've been through their own trauma, and they've had their own experiences. And we have to remain calm, because what they're saying is not a personal attack on us, even if they make it sound like it's a personal attack on us. And we need to filter the feedback. Is it constructive feedback? Is it baseless negativity like most of the people in other people's comments? You get rid of the baseless negativity, take the constructive criticism and work with it and decide if that's something you want to incorporate. And then we need to refrain from engaging in the argument, because it takes two to tango. But if they're making baseless comments and you engage them, then what's going to happen is there's going to be this argument between you. And is that a hill you want to die on? And we need to have self-reflection. This can be journaling, this can be meditation, this can be prayer, this can be quiet time. But we have to think about what it is that they're saying. Does it have any basis of truth? If it doesn't, then let it go. And then we need to have positive reinforcement in our lives. We need to boost our self-esteem with positive self-talk and self-care, whether that is taking yourself out of circulation for the day and going to your study and actually painting or writing. That's something that is productive for you. That's going to help you heal. And then we need to set boundaries, because the thing is that a lot of times people will violate our boundaries and we will allow them to, and we won't speak up. They will take our time, money, and energy, and we will be doing things for them and doing nothing for us. And we've got to set boundaries, and we have to enforce those boundaries. And we need to let go of what people say, because that's their opinion. That's not our opinion, and we can't take what they say personally. So there you go. Today we spoke about why letting your voice be silenced has consequences to our health, our mental health, and why we need to speak up and how to speak up, along with how to deal with haters. If you enjoyed this content, hit the subscribe button for more empowering content. Like and share if you think someone would benefit from this video. And if you have any questions, any situations you want advice on, or any upcoming episode ideas, drop it in the comments section. Remember, you matter. Keep dreaming and keep going after those dreams. Until next time, I hope you have a great and fabulous week.
You have been listening to the Anna Gail Lines podcast. If you'd like to learn more about Anna Gail or to buy her fiction and nonfiction books, go to annagaillinesmedia.myshopify.com. Right now, you can buy 3 ebooks and get 1 free. Sign up for the newsletter to keep updated on the world of the Anna Gail Lines podcast and the Space-Tastic Mysteries podcast, her fiction podcast where you can hear installments of her science fiction novels. To follow her on social media, Lady Anna Gail on TikTok, Anna Gail Lines on Twitter, Anna Gail Lines Artist on Instagram. Join our Facebook page at facebook.com/author Anna Gail. Thank you for listening, and thank you for being you.